What can we learn from following water? It's the most abundant element on our planet's surface, and the principal makeup in each of us as humans. To explore this question, we travel to the southwest region of the United States, along one of the planet's 5 active continental rifts, where lies an 1,800-mile river known around the globe as the Rio Grande. Beginning its life in the San Juan mountain range of southern Colorado, the Rio Grande River flows 1,800 miles across 3 states and 2 countries until fresh water meets the sea at the Gulf of Mexico. Our journey begins just north of Creede, Colorado, at the headwaters of the river, and will follow the Rio Grande along its path home to the ocean. However, our team cannot trace this arduous path by foot or boat, no. For these adventurers, the preferred means of travel is flight. On an early morning in late September, 10 paramotor pilots are about to take on the adventure of a lifetime. They will attempt to fly the entire length of the Rio Grande River. This ambitious challenge begins at the headwaters of the river at an elevation of over 13,000 feet. The launch zone, or LZ, today is at an elevation of 9,000 feet. This altitude will make the air thin and the sink rate fast. Energy is high as they embark on the first flight.
It's called. We have all these 146 numbers programmed.
550. 146 550.
Okay.
Good? Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have everybody here. It's been just lovely. It is quite a bit of an adventure. It's beautiful to do something that nobody else did before. It's beautiful to know that we're going to follow the river, that people are following us from far away, that the Immigration Service, Border Patrol, Homeland Security, newspapers, everybody is following us and see where we are going to go, and hoping that we are going to be successful and all have a good time and doing it safely. That's where the river comes out. The river comes out right behind the green roof and between the 2 mountains, the one that's steeper and this one right here.
And then we go to the green roof and follow the dirt road. My forte is joining up with my colleagues, my friends, and going where they want to go and doing the journeys that they want to do. It's just what makes me happy. I look at this adventure as a team effort, and if we can complete it as a team, there'll be some of us that don't make certain legs. There may only be one of us that makes another, but if we can complete it as a team, that's the goal. Oh, look at this view, look at this scene.
Before I started flying paramotors, I was a whitewater kayaker. What matters most to me in life is health and happiness, and probably in that order to me and my family. I try to live a stress-free life and drama-free life. I work hard to achieve that and share that with others around me. I feel my overall happiness is an important quality, and I just want to keep that up because this is what I have, and I'm going to make the best of it.
Flying a trike, different than the foot launch. I did that for 4 years, but I have a bad knee, so I switched to a trike. Takes a lot of the stress out of launching.
Beautiful day, perfect weather, beautiful location. I'm excited to fly.
My ride coming up here, they canceled a week ago, and I didn't find out I was going to be able to make it until like 2 or 3 days ago. So I had to rush to get everything ready. I still have to adjust my carburetor a little bit. I wasn't getting full RPMs. You got to get your motor tuned so it gets enough power to be able to get off the ground at this altitude. You got to run twice as far because you don't have as much lift.
And we're all old guys, so like running long distance as fast as you can, we don't have that long of a distance.
This is as good as it gets. For me it is, because it's so freeing to just be up there and looking down on the ground thinking, that's where I left my problems. And that's a good thing for me.
I've always wanted to fly. I always dreamt of flying. When I was a kid, I dreamt of flying. I would fall asleep and I'd dream of flying. And then I ran across the powered paragliding. And at first I thought, oh, this is stupid. And I watched and I'm like, I don't know, no way. It's a cloth, no way. And then Mo Sheldon took me on my first like tandem flight. That was it. I'm like, sign me up.
I'm not experienced like everyone else. I haven't done long flights. I've never done a flight over 2 hours before. I still haven't even completed 100 flights yet. Hopefully everybody has a good first flight today and a few of us make it to the headwaters. I'm the newbie in the group. We'll see how I do, but I'm definitely nervous.
Looking down upon the earth, one cannot help but feel immeasurable excitement for what is to come. No matter how dangerous the path, no matter the challenges that may ensue. As the pilots take the air, aspen trees paint the landscape, adding to the excitement as the adventure begins. Unfortunately for the team, the excitement is short-lived.
I was called that there was a report of an accident, a pilot down. We're flying in a valley, and it's not exactly a huge valley, but it is a little narrow.
Yeah, I was flying right behind him. We were flying pretty low over the water, maybe 100 feet off the water, paralleling the road. Just, you know, nice and smooth turns, nothing crazy. He made a hard bank turn to the left. It just looked like he was turning, you know, just looked like he was making a turn to the left, but he started to sink and ended up hitting the embankment.
All I saw was a puff of dust. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And I went around and I saw his wing laying on the side of the hill. And so I just went and landed right next to him. As soon as I landed, I called him and he called back. And so I knew that he was alive. I got a couple of his stuff undone, and then I was trying to undo another one, and I'm like, I can't undo this. And I had a knife with me, and I said, I'm gonna cut it. And he goes like, no, don't cut my harness. Then I knew he was okay. When he said, don't hurt his harness. And that, because his lips were like blue when I got there.
I was along on this trip as medical and rescue support, and I was really hoping not to work. And if I did, I was really hoping it was just for an engine out and a pilot who had to land in the middle of a field.
Brian shows up and he took the vital signs, and that is what I was freaking out about, was his vital signs, because his lips are blue. And he took his vital signs, and they were like 117/80, and I'm like, thank you, God. And his pulse was in the 90s.
And that's part of this sport, is that there are injuries, there are incidents. They are rare. They are few and far between. It's not something that people should look at this sport as saying, wow, this is a very dangerous sport, because it's really not that dangerous. It's more pilot and control. And you take your eyes off the road while you're driving for just a few seconds, looking, texting, doing something you shouldn't be doing, and incidents happen, and accidents happen, and that's the same in this sport. And we're very lucky that it was just, as I understand it, a broken femur, broken tib-fib fracture, maybe something in the hip on one side, and he'll be fine. He'll probably be up and flying again in a few months.
Yeah, it's just very, very sad. It doesn't really change anything for the trip, as we need to keep going. We got an email from Drew saying, just keep going, don't worry about me, I'll be fine. He really want everybody to have a good time. But at the end, we missed a partner and a great friend, and we wish him good recovery and as fast as possible, but we have to keep going. There's all that group here put together, and we're all here for the same goal, reaching the Gulf of Mexico. And right now we're just at the beginning of the trip. A lot more things could happen, and we just learn from what happened, that don't fly in the wrong direction and don't fly too close to the ground. Just be careful. Very, very important. We just want to arrive there safe.
The day's events come as a shocking reminder that nothing is certain but change. In the aftermath, the pilots come together to socialize and connect. Many of them are still strangers. However, the tragic crash has bonded the group and forced each pilot to lean on the others. They'll need a collective focus to surmount the true dangers and harsh consequences along this adventure.
Playing pétanque?
The perfect day tomorrow is everybody wakes up with a smile. I'd really love to see a little bit of wind help us out so we don't have to run as far.
Tape measure to measure the distance between the winner and the loser.
And everybody kind of get up in the air and just see us look like a flock of birds up there. And it'd be nice and smooth so I can take it all in and take some pictures of my friends who are up there in the air. It was hard. Dad got put into a home here in the past week, so that was kind of difficult. It was kind of felt like I failed a little bit because I was a caretaker, but everybody's reassured me that he needed to go into a facility, so.
As the next day begins, there is a stark contrast to the high energy of the day before. All is quiet for the morning's launch, and though on the outside things seem to have settled, the terrain is always changing. Because of this constant terrestrial evolution, there is an active need for us to change with it. The Rio Grande is a priceless resource, the lifeblood to all those who live along its 1,800-mile path. To better understand the role this river has played in this region, we speak with restoration and ecology expert Heather Dutton.
By 1890, the waters of the Rio Grande were over-appropriated, meaning we had more people here wanting to use water than there was water available. The over-appropriated nature of this river impacts everything we do. It impacts the ability for agriculture to be viable. We are experiencing impacts from climate change, dust on snow, large-scale tree die-offs, and potential impacts to watershed health. Those issues aren't unique to us. They are being experienced in watersheds all over Colorado and all over the West. What I do think is unique and what's very energizing to me is that the challenges of the river bring us together, because we recognize that we have to work together. There's a finite amount of water, and there's a lot of different people that rely on this river and that want to make a living, either from diverting water and taking it out into the closed basin and growing potatoes with it, or being able to see wildlife or go fishing. And so that's where it's so important for us to come together and think about the ways that we're managing the water and how we can really stretch every last drop so that we can have the greatest benefit for the people and the animals and the ecosystems that rely on the river.
The waters of the earth move in a system. Each body of water combines with others to create a larger whole. Every unit moves together with one ultimate goal: unity.
We're at about 9,000 feet,
Yeah.
which means we're 200 feet off the deck.
Yeah.
And just,
The flight was beautiful, it was great. It was nice and smooth, mainly my first time flying over the clouds, or in the clouds.
In the clouds.
Did it, that line along the cliff?
When we had that one pass, I went to 1,500, and then a few times I dropped down to like maybe 700 or something like that.
After completing the headwaters and spending the night at Creede Airport, our pilots carry on, refueling at Del Norte to eventually make a late morning arrival near the great sand dunes of southern Colorado. As the pilots and ground crew arrive at the San Luis State Park, approximately 5 miles from the great sand dunes, their spirits have been resurrected.
Anyway, was pretty smooth.
And you have all these guys with you, the bumps don't freak you out as bad. So you stay a lot more relaxed even when things are getting a little crazy up in the air or whatever. I've never flown in this much clouds before, so it's comforting being with these guys that are more seasoned pilots. They definitely help me to stay calm and everything's okay.
A renewed excitement is felt by everyone as 3 new pilots arrive today from Nebraska, completing the team.
I love helping people, being there for people. I love being support crew. I love flying. Just an adventure, you know? Whatever happens, I'm along for the ride.
I'm the type of person that comes home from work and I'm sitting on my couch bored thinking what should I do, and then look up at the clouds and figured I'd go get me some of that. Well, usually when I'm flying, if everybody's looking at like the arch you might want to fly under, the bridge or something, I'm usually the guy that goes and does it first, so then people follow behind. I've been pretty lucky. I debatably fly kind of recklessly, and I've managed to not get hurt so far, knock on wood. I don't know if I'm a good pilot or just stupid.
I'm like the little kid that's watching the other kids play marbles, and I'm like, hey, can I play? Can I play? That's me. So I'm relegated to like cooking food and driving the rig and stuff like that, because all these other pilots just like, they outclass me. It's pretty bad.
Nature is a truly immense power. Today, the focus will need to be on working with and not against it, as the pilots will attempt to fly the great sand dunes before making their way further south. The weather forecast has called for heavy winds to build from the northeast, and they'll need good timing to make Taos, New Mexico before the conditions become too dangerous to fly.
We got out there, probably took off around 7. Wind was great. Then we flew over, and right when we got to the dunes, the wind just picked up and we were getting thrown around. So everybody turned around. I started to turn around, and then I was like, I'm not gonna get another chance to do this. So turned back, just got thrown around, but got to enjoy the views.
For us, we're type A. We don't mind to take more risk, and we just go for it. A lot of people today would have been maybe scared to be flying, thinking, what are we doing here? But the scenery took over. We're all as a group flying together and getting all these wings and these colors flying and being able to film and see from the ground. It's just lovely. It's a great friendship. Halfway in the trip, we're starting to get some wind picking up, and some mountains a little bit around and creating some rudder.
Turning towards Francois, I'm going 5.8 miles an hour.
Things were just getting kind of hectic there.
But trying to get back, we're just going to get headwinds. There was no way we're going to climb back toward the river. And we just got bumps around. So you just get used to it, you just learn to relax and enjoy it until it's like, oh shit, it's time to land.
I'm not gonna make it there.
Luckily, Richie decided, hey man, let's land, and let's land now and here, and everybody was on board with that. There was definitely no discussion. We were like, that's a good idea. So
we just ended up on the road next to a field. We landed on the field nicely, safely, everybody very happy. The ground crew came to pick us up, and we all had a good time and drove the rest of the way. The Taos Gorge Bridge is no exception. People are attracted to it, and there's a big arch. This one is extremely big. You know you're not going to hurt yourself by flying through it unless you have an engine out, because a lot of other places, if you have an engine out, you just land in grass. There you just hope for the best. Big boulders on the bottom. So somebody will get hurt, somebody will lose a lot of time, somebody will cut the trip short if they had that issue. But it's just the attraction of that big arch that you just want to fly under. Yeah, you can tell them whatever you want. People will do whatever they want. That's the fact. That's the way it is. They get attracted by that thing. You can tell them it's dangerous. They will take the risk because they're type A, and that's why we are flying. We're flying not because we want to die. We're flying because we like what we do. We are trusting the motor, hoping for the best, and everything went well.
This group's different than other groups I've been with on other trips. You care more about each pilot, and you go and you talk with each pilot each day. How you doing? You did a good launch today, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that camaraderie in this smaller, 6 to a dozen guys.
God damn, that was something.
I never thought it would work that way. I really thought we had to fly with one guy, make sure we stay with that guy. We're just staying as a group, 5, 6, 7, 8 people flying together. Magnificent.
And what's great about this group is they see someone go back and circle back to the guy in the back, and everybody else comes back and joins. It's a much more of a tight-knit brotherhood.
You know, this is probably my favorite part of this trip, is just meeting all the different pilots, their chase crew, the people who volunteered. It's just an amazing mesh of people from different walks of life. I feel pretty confident and pretty excited. I'm just happy to be involved, and this is just the most amazing experience. It's been my first time taking off in one spot and landing in another, and it's exhilarating. I love it.
The group is so great. Everybody's so fun, responsible, simple, happy. Yeah, they're just easygoing. That's very nice. We know that there's going to be some days where we will be stuck because of the weather. It could be raining, it could be too windy. That's one of the reasons everybody is a little tired, because we leave very, very early in the morning. Don't have time to really take a real breakfast when we get up at 6. And days will just get harder and harder every day unless we go and take a nap. I wish I could take a nap right now. I need this one.
As the pilots complete the morning refuel stop in Espanola, there is notably one wing still grounded. Unfortunately, Stuart's mechanical problems continue to challenge both his resourcefulness and his patience.
My motor wouldn't start, so now I'm trying to catch up to these guys.
But you got air density too.
And see if I can still make this leg. I feel good. I'll try. Get my wing set up and get me in the air.
From the first day of hardship in Creede, Colorado to this point, the pilots have traveled over 400 miles into New Mexico's land of enchantment, breathing in the landscape surrounding this river as they follow it through the lands of Taos, Espanola, and last night in Santa Fe. The morning flights will take them to Albuquerque and the local sweet spot of Paramotor City. It's a perfect place to settle in for a good night's rest before continuing south into lower elevations and warmer climates.
That was awesome. Flew low in the canyons, followed Scott around, had a great time.
You know what? That was an awesome flight. We had one pilot go down due to a throttle mechanism failure. But other than that, it was amazing. I am loving this trip. The Rio Grande adventure is everything it was meant to be. Awesome.
You really want to know what my problem is?
What?
When I fly? Look at my glasses. Can you see my glasses? Look at my eyes. And that's nothing. Sometimes I don't see where I'm going. Between my glasses, I don't see where I'm going, plus the fact that I'm filming, so I'm not looking where I'm going. The guys were turning. It was not close, but I was trying to film and turn and film. And when I depower, when I do my turn, I drop a little bit. And I was filming Scott, and Boris was right behind. And when I did that, he did his turn. I don't know how far his wing was from my motor, but it was far enough.
Today was my longest flight ever as a paramotor pilot, 3.5 hours on one flight. Used a 6-liter refueling bladder and refueled about an hour and a half into my flight. When I got down to just a liter left of fuel, I had a little bit of a pucker factor going on at that moment. And I asked one of the other pilots, you know, what's going on? And he's like, well, we just keep going. And I couldn't be okay with that answer. So I found me a place to land and called the ground crew and said, come get me. Something always happens that you don't expect. And now I'm starting to expect that, so that's helping me.
About 15 miles from the landing zone, we were all starting to talk about gas and gas issue. How much gas do we have left? I myself at the mirror and I check on my gas and I still had about 60 liters left. And I just keep flying and keep flying. I said, well, I'm just going to try to make it to the LZ, which is 4 miles this way. It's not very far. And I could see 3 liters, 2 liters, 1 liter. When I saw that I only had a liter left, starting to pull on the trim a little bit. When I was doing that, I heard bubble and bubble again, and I went boom. That happened right above that house, came down, glided, and landed right here.
Well, we saw him fly over a little further north, and it was like, oh, that'd be neat. And then I left over there, came over here, and here he's landed in the field on the side of the field. It would have been nice if he would have landed in the water and got a little muddy, but...
No, come on. That's no bad. When I saw the water, I could see the reflection on the water, the shiny. I said, I don't want my wing to go in there, because it was not very deep, but it was plenty deep enough to get something muddy.
I think it's kind of neat. It doesn't bother me for people to do that. They're just out having fun. And
The Rio Grande has been one of North America's great rivers for millions of years. Its flow has created a truly amazing landscape in an otherwise dry and barren desert. Today, it's little more than a shadow of its former self. Irrigation and other human uses have reduced its flow until it no longer floods in a natural cycle.
climate change, it seems like we're getting less snow in the winter. We get enough water right now to make a crop. It does go dry every year. It makes it hard because a lot of our water comes from the Rio Grande, but it does get up north, it does get diverted into canals, and we slowly get it down here.
In recent decades, agriculture, construction of dams, growth of cities, and industry along the Rio Grande have diverted huge amounts of water.
Runoff from the mountains up north, you know, they store water in the reservoirs up there, and if we do get a snowpack, and if they don't get much of a snowpack, well, we're kind of stuck with what we have this year. Not much water, you know, and then the farmers run short. It makes it a little difficult.
Without dramatic changes, it seems unlikely that the Rio Grande will ever fully regain its former strength or impact on an ecosystem it created. At a refueling stop south of Hatch, New Mexico, once again we find Stuart having problems with his engine.
Well, my kill switch wire coming off of my solenoid broke in flight, so when I came down I couldn't kill the motor. I'm trying to see if I can repair it before everybody takes off again and I miss out on the next flight. So on every one of my refuels I have flooded the engine and not been able to take off. So I was gonna try to correct that on this one, but because the kill switch would not work, I had to flood the engine in order to kill it. So I could be derailed here again, but all I can do is try and see what happens.
It can be challenging to manage your emotions at times in a sport of such high intensity. The stress can become magnified when traveling cross-country in a group, as mechanical problems can cause a pilot to miss the next launch, as we have already seen for him. Aware that keeping up with the other pilots would be hard, it has been Stuart's lack of mechanical skills that have presented the biggest challenge for him. He has struggled to keep his motor tuned properly at altitude. He fouled the engine in Espanola, replaced a starter in Albuquerque, and now is having flooding problems after repairing the damaged kill switch wire. It can be difficult to keep a cool head in these moments and remember to center yourself as a pilot. Fortunately, Stuart has had many years of high-intensity sport outside of paramotoring to fall back on and is able to collect himself, address the problem by changing a spark plug, and get airborne just in time to stay with the team. He's still keeping up, for now. As the late morning thermals start to build and the desert air becomes unstable, the pilots arrive at a truck stop north of El Paso near the river. Getting something to eat is most likely on everyone's mind as the morning two legs are behind them. Most of the pilots are already on the ground as Stuart comes in for a landing. Unfortunately, in the last few feet of his final approach, one of the other pilots, Francois, walks in front of Stuart's flight path. In a quick reflex, he was able to steer to one side without hitting his friend, but the maneuver cost him the smooth landing. Once again, Stuart is challenged, and although it's not his engine this time, his equipment pays the price anyway. Motor parts can be easily replaced or repaired. Friends cannot.
Damn it!
Nice!
Louise, thank you.
Good job.
Hey, I need a prop repair. Hit the ground and busted the tip of my prop. I'm gonna try to repair this portion of it here, as well as I've got a little bit of crack here. And so we're gonna put epoxy on it.
We're just gonna pray.
And pray.
That's it.
And that should do it.
You can use baking soda and super glue, which I've used plenty, but this just kind of works. I think it's just a little bit harder.
The path of the Rio Grande is long. At times, it's treacherous. During others, calm. The journey has now covered more than 700 miles and traveled across Colorado and New Mexico. And destined now for El Paso, Texas, the pilots welcome another cherished reprieve. Before the dawn, each day lies the unknown. With dangerous weather forecasted, our journey following the river will pause. High winds for a paramotor pilot can easily prove fatal. At a small airport just outside of El Paso, the team is exhausted. News of tomorrow's questionable flying conditions are received as an ironic blessing.
Today we're not flying, too much wind. We had some 30 miles an hour gusts right now. Maybe even sustained wind coming from the north, so we'll just be impossible. It's very needed. Everybody needed it. Everybody is very happy about the bad weather coming in. We can relax and reset up and re-clean up all the stuff, get things going for tomorrow and start fresh again. It was good. Good. Got a chance to get some nice pancakes. It's like 11 o'clock. We're still here, not moving, not flying, not driving, sitting down in a lovely place. What can we ask better?
Yesterday we did 186 miles, and it's been challenging. So as you can see, I'm paying the price a little bit, but that's what it takes sometimes to hang in there, especially when you're with a bunch of pilots that are a little further along than you are.
As the pilots once again greet the dawn and take the early morning air, they're unaware of just how much today's journey will be a test of endurance, calm decision-making, and a sharp, relentless focus to survive.
And your face can say it all, so I know you meant to. And if I lose my way, then I know where to find you. Will I know where to find you? Then I looked you in the eyes with the promise.
Every day seems like a new challenge. It feels like to me that overcoming that challenge is really lets you know where everything about you as a pilot, as a person, and us as a whole, as a team, really stand. And it's every day. Every day something happens. But you know, I think without each other, the trip might have ended already.
What an amazing leg. It was beautiful, the mountains, the terrain, the border wall that was there and then not there and then there again, and the ranchers that we saw out there.
Motor ran good. Legs are still hurting pretty good. That landing right there definitely increased my bruise, I'm sure. But it was a beautiful flight this morning. We had a really nice border patrol, super nice, waving to us every step of the way. No issues there. Flew along the wall a little bit. That was super fun.
It was good. It was a good flight.
Although the day's journey is far from over, spirits remain lifted as the pilots refuel for the next, most daunting leg of the trip.
Yeah, we're going to make it. Everybody's loading fuel. We're getting extra 6 liters. So now we have 18 liters of fuel. We should be able to make it. Now we're going to go straight to the river and follow it.
Man, alone in the throes of nature, is severely disadvantaged against survival. Even more so when suspended in air with only technical mastery and mechanical fabric wings as a sole means of avoiding the most punishing of fates. Single-engine, single-operator flight over an unretractable mountain range. This is the risk taken in its purest form. Man versus no man's land.
As we got into the second leg of that flight, I realized that I was getting nervous. We were getting some gnarly conditions.
We were told when we launched, this is not a retrievable area. And it was knife-edge, jagged mountains with the Rio Grande below.
Flying into like a 10-mile-an-hour plus headwind, midday thermals, giant mountains you're getting rotor from. You don't know where you're at, you don't have a cell phone signal to navigate.
Going into those mountains, that was daunting to me.
The conditions were thermic, rotor, 11 a.m. and 20-mile-an-hour winds and up and over a mountain range, non-retrievable. It was a, let's call a high pucker factor.
This is just a hope and a prayer at this point. You know, we've decided to take this path that there's no way for me to get out of this. I am jacked if I go down. So I just tried not to think about that, tried to focus on my flying.
Looking at my GPS mapping, 54 miles into it, started having problems, heard exhaust noise, figured the exhaust was cracking, thought I was heading towards the direction, well, I was heading the direction everybody else was going, which I thought was toward the main road, which actually carried me another 6 miles further away from rescue.
You do not have Boris. 10-4.
I got on the radio with Stuart and said, Stuart, where's Boris? We gotta find Boris. So Stuart turned back with me and the two of us circled.
Circling with low fuel, there were a lot of things that were nerve-wracking.
When I realized I wasn't going up anymore and the mountain was coming at me, I just picked the spot that had the least amount of cactuses and pointed it and flared as hard as I could and hit the ground and tumbled a couple times and found myself upside down.
Boris has had a mechanical failure while flying over the Quitman Mountains of Texas. This place is particularly unforgiving and some of the most rugged terrain that can be found in the entire state. Although not impossible, a rescue from this area will not be easy, and anyone risking their own lives to help another in need may quickly find themselves in the same peril.
If we're going to continue to circle, we're all going down because we don't have enough fuel to make it to the LZ. We had to make it over 2 more mountain ranges to get to the LZ.
Well, right now the primary concern, Tamara, is to have enough fuel to get over this mountain range and to you, over.
Copy, we're looking for you. We don't see you yet.
Found myself upside down in one piece and happily unstrapped myself, climbed out, and not a scratch on me. I lived. Landed safe, sort of. Hiking out 4 miles and trying to send coordinates and signals didn't work, so I turned around and hiked out for about 2.5 hours, 2 hours, till I finally got cell phone signal, and then the adventure began. Border Patrol drove in as far as they could. They hiked in 1.5 miles to find me. Had a bunch of people from camp come out, unloaded trucks and brought motorcycles and everything to try to help me hike back up and get my equipment. It was just amazing, the support and the camaraderie that was there with everybody trying to help. Border Patrol, they were pretty comical, the 2 guys. I didn't get their names, but they said, you know, it's the first time that they've gone out to find somebody that when they found them and saw them, that the person came running towards them instead of running away. My wife and I watch Naked and Afraid, and all I could think about is I have no cell phone signal, no coverage. Hello, my name is Boris, and I'm just been dropped out here in the Texas desert in the middle of nowhere. While I was waiting for Border Patrol and everybody to come find me, I decided to shoot a little video. This desert in the middle of nowhere by Broken Paramotor to star in the new reality TV show, Naked and Not Afraid Paramotoring. Here I am out in the middle of nowhere, trying to find my way back, hoping to be rescued or to find civilization. Let's go see what we can do.
Though challenged by the dominance of nature, the bond between human beings remains intact.
Scott to ground crew, over.
Once again, strangers find one another and share a difficult journey to safety.
Stuart's like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I've only got 3 liters left.
I know I say this every time we land, but that was the craziest flight of my life. Again.
This one, I think this one was.
This time for sure.
This one for sure.
If I said that before.
Oh, fucking awesome, dude. This is crazy.
God damn, that was something.
In this case, facing it together with nothing more to gain than the knowledge that another has survived the darkest of fates, that of total isolation. After being rescued, Boris retrieves his equipment and within 8 hours catches up with the team to continue the trip using a backup motor. Things are looking up again, and everyone is optimistic. All is well until another pilot receives crushing news from home. News that may mean the end of his journey altogether.
My father passed away last week, and he was a real go-getter in life, and he would have wanted me to continue, but I wasn't sure how well my brother would handle it, being back there at home. He encouraged me to stay on the trip, and up until the point that he told me to stay, I was thinking I was going to be going home. And the next morning, I just really felt like I should keep going with this and sort of dedicate what I was doing here in his memory.
Moments after liftoff, the pilots find themselves quickly surrounded by a thick bank of clouds. Though difficult, they make the courageous decision to rise above, and the reward is just as invigorating as the altitude. High above the storm, they are no longer encumbered by the rain. Falling waters are now a mere backdrop as the sun emerges to illuminate a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
To be above those clouds, with all the other pilots and the sun coming up over the horizon, it took my breath away. It was more than I could process at times.
It was actually safer to be above the clouds. Down below, you know, raining and thermals and all kinds of crazy stuff, but as soon as you get above the clouds, it's all sunshine.
It was a deep moment. It's definitely deep, you know? Looking around, we're such a small thing in a big universe.
Seeing the sunrise come up through these clouds, it was just like, oh, it was just amazing.
I loved when there was a space open there for and you could see the ground and just going down through that space. Oh my God, that was so bitchin'. I'll never forget that. I keep thinking about that. That was great.
Having descended from the heavens, the pilots refuel in a grocery store parking lot and take off to complete the second morning leg of the day. As they fly along the border entry points, they're close enough to smell the salted ocean air. Excitement is brewing, but then the rains of misfortune fall upon them once again. Although he's a seasoned pilot, for Jean-Francois, his latest landing is not a good one.
My foot that was dangling because I was already out of my harness were behind me more than normal. But it didn't go well because just at the time I was going to land, I guess I got a little gust of wind. So everybody landed just fine. I was the only one that had some issues. Wind shifting, fully loaded, landing with speed, and whatever happened, happened. You just finish on your knees. That's all it is. Knee pads are the best. And apparently I broke a bone. That's what it seems like sprained ankle and broke a bone, just for that little impact. And they were all worried about me, thinking, what happened? It looked fine, but just a little impact was just too much. Mistake. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I'm kind of bummed. I would like to fly with you guys tomorrow.
As the journey has promised to lead them, it is here, in the Gulf of Mexico, near South Padre Island, Texas, where the great river known as the Rio Grande finally meets its end. This is where the water has flowed for 1,800 miles to unite with the ocean in an inescapable harmony of life. This is also where our team's journey together concludes.
Coming in through that last bit of the river as it met the ocean, Seeing the Rio Grande merge together with the ocean was just, I was like, yes, we made it. But at the same time, I was like sad that the trip is over. That means we're at the end. And I kind of just kept going out into the ocean.
Flying with 15 people, crew and pilots, going through all this and the adventures and the accidents and the crashes and the broken ankles and everything, and the camaraderie with everybody to actually reach the end and with the group of people and be able to see the ocean and fly there and say, I made it. I mean, that was incredible. That was just a bucket list item that I didn't even know was on my bucket list.
I just can't believe it's over. This has been an epic journey. This has been an amazing adventure, and it's been a great team of pilots to do it with. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
This is where it all ends. But yeah, it's beautiful. Everything's, yeah, it was awesome. It really was.
I'm wore out. It was tough. It was really, really challenging, and but I'm so jazzed. I got it. I did it. I didn't think I would make it, to be honest with you. So this one's for you, Dad.
So what can we determine from following water? These pilots have learned much in this adventure about themselves and the river. Perhaps it is that the Rio Grande is much more than snowmelt running from the Rocky Mountains to the Atlantic Ocean. Perhaps it's that this river is a natural artery, a central source of life to all who share its banks, and a reflection of the people who tend its delicate balance along the way. But perhaps, like the water's natural connection to all life, the most important lesson is how much we all need each other. This simple lesson our world seems to need now more than ever.